the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Hey, you guys are funny. That's such bullshit. Nah.
Harmony Korine's 2019 film The Beach Bum tells the story of a substance-abusing poet who has cultivated the remarkable ability to laugh at life's absurdity.
Is that all there is?
In a way, he is above life and mostly doesn't think about anything except how to have a good time. Societal norms, morality and reason mean nothing to him. He has become an agent of chaos who, on his path, meets and inspires like-minded people, like the crudely nihilistic pyromaniac Flicker,
Christ was even a sinner, so we clean, man. That's my money.
the dolphin-obsessed Vietnam War veteran Captain Whack,
Don't fuck with Captain Whack.
You will get whacked. Fucking with Captain Whack.
and the cyberite R&B singer Lingerie.
It's the motherfucking moon dog. Howling at the moon, it's the dog, yo.
Our protagonist engages in several promiscuous relationships but loves his wife Minnie, who comes from a wealthy family and supports her husband's indulgence. When she dies, however, her money gets frozen on the condition that her husband finally writes and publishes the book that he's been putting off. He gets his act together and finishes it, gets the money, takes it on a boat, and in a devilish fireworks show, burns it all to the ground, riding away into the night, laughing. So here's the question: is our protagonist mad? The substance-abusing reveler that he is, it can be tempting to disregard his erratic behavior as nothing more than, well, a person losing it. But let's try to consider a deeper reason why a person might show such indifference towards the things that most of us hold valuable: morality, safety, respect, and success, to name a few. Perhaps at the core of our protagonist lies the realization that the philosopher Moritz Schlick has come upon when thinking about the human condition. Man sets himself goals, he says, and while he is heading towards them, he is buoyed up by hope, indeed but gnawed at the same time by the pain of unsatisfied desire. Once the goal is reached, however, after the first flush of triumph has passed away, there follows inevitably a mood of desolation. A void remains, which can seemingly find an end only through the painful emergence of new longings, the setting of new goals. So the game begins anew, and the existence seems doomed to be a restless swinging to and fro between pain and boredom, which ends at last in the nothingness of death. It was this pessimistic realization, Schlick observes, that much like our protagonist, led the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche into a flight to art. Only as an aesthetic phenomenon, he says, can existence and the world be, or appear to be, justified. If life is beautiful and we learn to appreciate that beauty, then life needs no external meaning, no futile projects it needs to be undertaken, no morality to be followed, no God to be worshipped. We can simply be in awe of the world and our existence in it. While this certainly sounds nice, we must admit that our existence is often unpleasant and hardly something that inspires aesthetic pleasure. As Schlick observes, for mere living, pure existence as such is certainly valueless. It must also have a content, and in that only can the meaning of life reside. But what actually fills up our days almost entirely is activities serving to maintain life. In other words, the content of existence consists in the work that is needed in order to exist. We are therefore moving in a circle and in this fashion fail to arrive at a meaning for life. Most of our days are, so to say, wasted away in schools, our workplace, on the road and in the gym where we seek to make a living, better our place in society and take care of our health. The meaning and value of this time lies outside of itself. It is external, merely pointing towards the things that we find meaningful. But as Schlick puts it, in the present age, assuredly, the daily activity of man can in large part be justified only by distant purposes. In itself, such activity is unpleasurable and unjustified, and the deification of work as such, the great gospel of our industrial age, has been exposed as idolatry. So, what should we be looking for in life instead? Schlick's answer is: the core and ultimate value of life can lie only in such states as exist for their own sake and carry their satisfaction in themselves. What kind of moments in our lives carry their own value? One answer is those that give us pleasure. So ideally, a meaningful life according to this view would be one of hedonism. Realistically, however, unrestrained hedonism leads to the opposite, an ever-growing addiction that slowly turns our life into an unpleasant mess and sometimes even hell. Therefore, Schlick opts to find value not in moments of passive indulgence in pleasure, but rather in an activity that carries its own purpose and value. That activity he calls play. What is play? To quote the poet Friedrich: "For to declare it once and for all, man plays only when he is in the full sense of the word a man, and he is only wholly man when he is playing." This statement has long since been alive and operative in art and in the feeling of the Greeks, its most distinguished exponents. Only they transferred to Olympus what should have been realized on earth. Guided by its truth, they cast not only the seriousness and the toil which furrow the cheeks of mortals, but also the futile pleasure that smooths the empty face to vanish from the brows of the blessed gods, and they released these perpetually happy beings from the fetters of every aim, every duty, every care, and made idleness and indifference the enviable portion of divinity, merely a more human name for the freest and sublimest state of being. Play is any activity that takes place entirely for its own sake, independently of its effects and consequences. It can have a useful or valuable outcome, like feeling better and more healthy after a game of basketball, publishing the poems that you were scribbling, climbing on the top of the leaderboard in your favorite game, or getting a ton of views on the YouTube videos that you've been playing around with. But if it's truly play, then all of these consequences are non-essential. What matters is the sole fact that the activity was indeed playful. Only then the activity took place for its own sake. For the poet Schiller, the Greek gods, freed of every concern and engaging in endless play, are the exemplifications of beings that lead a meaningful life. We too can only hope to be as much like the Greek gods as possible. But there's also a being that is less mystical and still exemplifies what, according to this view, would be seen as a meaningful life. Here we can learn from the child. Before he has yet been caught in the net of purposes, the cares of work are unknown to him, he needs no diversion or release from the working day. And it is precisely the child that is capable of the purest joy. People everywhere are wont to sing of the happiness of youth, and this is truly more than a mere invention of the poets. Youth is really not overshadowed by the dark clouds of purpose. Perhaps we can look at our protagonist as an agent who does his best to dispel those dark clouds. Instead, he cultivates his inner child. He plays, goofs around, and maintains a capability of the purest joy. This is essentially selfish and leads our protagonist to act not immorally but amorally, meaning as if he is above morality, as if it is irrelevant to him. In this sense too, he acts like a child. He is empathetic to the joy and suffering of those around him, but upholds no moral principles. He is looking at the world with curiosity and desire, but much like a child, is also quite insensitive and cruel. For Friedrich Nietzsche, the child is what he names the final stage of philosophical development. The child is innocent and forgetting, he says. A new beginning, a game, a self-rolling wheel, a first movement, a sacred yes. For Nietzsche, the child symbolizes innocence and the freedom to create new values. A child in this sense is rejecting societal conditioning, challenges established values, and embraces a personal will to create and affirm life. In other words, a childlike individual breaks free from conformity, embraces their inner strength, and embarks on a transformative journey towards self-realization and authentic existence. So to say, only once he breaks free from the constraints of society can he truly engage in play. In the end, however, our protagonist's attitude towards life can seem like a mixed bag, acting both as inspiration and caution. Inspiration to infuse our lives with playfulness. The more we play, the more we save our life from the boring grey routine of our jobs, careers, endeavors, whatever. But I suppose with caution, for we don't know where this creative self-discovery will lead us, and it might end up hurting us and those around us. That being said, we'll conclude as Schlick concludes. If we need a rule of life, let it be this: preserve the spirit of youth, for it is the meaning of life. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate your support, all the likes, comments, subscriptions. It really helps me in making new videos, which I really hope I will be able to keep making. Also follow me on Letterboxd. I'm addicted to that app. I also just want to mention that I have a channel for philosophy, so if you are interested in my lectures about that, you can check it in the description, and I think something should pop up over there. Thank you.